Good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Forever You Will Shine starts now. I'm with my good friend, Manchester, Tennessee, from Dr. Cosmetology. I got that right. Nathan Kistler, and our good media friend, host, social guy, Kevin Long. He's there behind the scenes, keeping us all together and moderating us. So thank you, Kevin, for all your great work for us. This show's all about you, the customer. Forever You Will Shine. It's all about you. So what we do every day, what we do with that polisher, how we apply that to the car, your car, any surface, it's about what we want to do for you. We want you to look good. We want you to feel good. And shine, that transcends. That great mom and dad, forever you will shine. Thank you. The firemen, thank you. Forever you will shine. The police officer, forever you will shine. The school teacher, forever you will shine. The nurses, the people on the front lines, forever you will shine. My good friends, Nathan Kistler, Kevin Long, forever you will shine. And everybody out there trying to do a good deed and make this world a better place despite all its turmoil, forever you will shine. And that's what this is really all about. It's about us trying to help the consumer do a better job. Those that want to detail their automobiles themselves, maybe out of necessity, maybe out of enjoyment, maybe out of just for something to do. We're here to help you because it's all about you. It's people first. That has always been a philosophy of mine. People first, money second, things third. We put that in any other order, really doesn't work out so well. So, so a lot of my detailing, it started a long time ago in the 70s. It was just something I liked to do. My father in Cleveland, Ohio, that was just one of my chores of taking care of the family cars, dad's car and then mom's car. Every couple of weeks, wash them, vacuum them, wax them up, a couple times a year. That was one of the chores. That was the only chore my father ever gave me that I loved, and I really loved it because I was out in the sunshine. I could put some rock and roll on the radio, and I became a teenager. I could sneak a beer up behind the garage and hide it in the weeds that I haven't quite whacked yet and go sip it and go back and clean dad's car, and I thought I was so cool. And it really got me going. It was a lot of fun. And then when I got to be 17 and had to wait to get my license because I was a bad boy riding dirt bikes on city roads and got busted. So I had to wait till I was 17 to get a car. But I got my first car and I was so proud of my 78 Mustang too with the 4 chipmunks under the hood. It was cool looking, white with the red lines and the plaid interior and had the hatchback. I loved it. And I waxed that up. I had my turtle wax on that and I waxed it almost every day because I was so proud. I paid cash for that in 1978. I was 17 years old. I was so proud of that. I worked for all of that money. And then I went to get my hair cut down at the barbershop, went to see Al, the barber. And he looked out the window and he said, "Hey, little Joe." He called me that because my dad's name was Joe too. I'm not a junior, but my dad's name was Joe. And Al, the barber, said, "Hey, little Joe, where'd you get that car?" I says, "It's mine, Al." He said, "You bought that car?" He said, "I sure did." He said, "How'd you get it to look like that?" I said, "Al, give me $35 and I'll show you." Well, he gave me the keys for that car. And next thing you know, I was doing everybody's car in that block. Had the butcher, had the liquor store, had the pizza guy. And back then it was pretty much business owners and white collar workers would get their cars done. It wasn't really something the average everyday person would do. Sure, I'd help the neighbor or the person up the street and do their car and they'd flip me a quarter or 50 cents. And I did it just because I loved doing it. And I was in the sunshine. And then I got out of the military service and I'm getting kind of teared up. I got out of military service and I had this old beat up house here in Norwich, Connecticut I bought that everyone damned me for buying and said I could never fix. And I had these I had one of my young daughters right here behind me, right over there, maybe. Actually, here they are. And the taller one, that's my oldest Danielle. She was just a baby. The other one's my younger one, Stephanie. She wasn't yet to be born. And, you know, I'm really getting teary-eyed about it, but it was really a big thing for me. I thought of what better could I do for my family? I was running restaurants because I never wanted to work for corporate America. I vowed when I left the service, the military service, I would never work for corporate America. I'd never work for a government or a municipality. That's just my belief. It's okay if other people do it, but that's just my belief. That's just the way I felt. And I'm okay, other people do it. Everybody's got to live, eat, and have a job. Doesn't make anybody different, better, worse, or anything. We're just all people that get up in the morning. And I remembered that was something that I did. I loved detailing cars as a kid. And so I did that here. I said, I wonder if these Yankees, I did that in Cleveland, Ohio. I said, I wonder if these Yankees here do this stuff. So I went over, there was Pip Printing right around the corner, and I don't know, 18 or 20 bucks. I got, you know, 500 or 1,000 business cards printed up. And I just went up the street and I just started running, you know, 3 different 5-10 second lines of some kind of stuff, you know, whatever, to get somebody's attention. And people started dropping keys in my hand, and I brought them home. And I pretty much was just washing and vacuuming and waxing the cars. And I was so proud. I was getting paid for it. And I saved every bit of that money. I didn't spend a dime because that was security for my family in case something went wrong, that I'd be there. Well, that's my story. It's come to this. And now my good friend Nathan Kistler at Dr. Details Cosmetology, he's got quite a story too. I love it. I love it. I'm so glad I met you.
Likewise, Joe. I'm glad I met you as well. What I would love to hear you add, though, is how long ago did your journey begin in this business?
Oh gosh.
It's been 30 plus years, has it not?
Well, I've been 32 years in business. Well, as a chore, gosh, if you say, you know, how do you want to determine experience? My father showed me how to detail or clean a car properly, you know, getting the bottom of the door edges. He showed me all these things. And honest to God, my dad, kind of like you could say, he's like a contributor to the detail industry, because what he showed me on how to clean that car, he didn't call it detail, but I'll tell you what, it was GI military grade.
Sure.
And the way he showed me to do that made people love my work, whether they liked me or not. They loved my work. They might not have liked my mouth, but they loved my work.
Only one way, and that's the right way.
Yeah. So, you know, that comes back to the, you know, maybe 1975, 76, and then 78. I had my own car, and then I was, you know, winging it, you know, gigging it before it was called a gig job, you know, in high school. And I was doing business owners and white collar workers cars. I was driving the coolest cars. I got the best chicks, man. You know, it's like, hey, I was in a vet. People back then, just think of it. They drop a key. I'm a 17-year-old kid. I'm driving Corvettes. I'm driving Lincolns. I'm driving Cadillacs.
Styling and profiling.
My favorite car was that Oldsmobile Brougham with the fender skirts, the 4-door. I love that car, that plush interior. Oh, man, I love that car. And then I started here after military service, summer in 1984, spring, summer in 1984, hard to say, April, May. And I still have scribbled notes from that first notebook. I was keeping track of how long it took me, how much money I was spending, what the product cost me. I was keeping track of my figures, numbers, and times back then, honest to God. I have bits and pieces and tatters of what's left of that. And so it started there, and I saved all that money. And then in 1987, I realized I had enough money that I could build a shell. And so there's a picture of my website, me in a backhoe when I used to have hair, long hair, digging a ditch in the backyard of the property I currently am on. And I'm sitting upstairs in the building that you see on the web page for detailed training. If anyone wants to look at the detailed training page, it's right there. So it's been that long, 32 years in business. So that's the journey.
That's awesome.
But anyway, I got to shut my mouth because we know how I can be. It's your turn, Nathan.
Joe's a talker. Joe's a talker. Oh, gosh. Well, I've actually been in the business since 2007, July 9th, to be exact, of 2007. I live in Manchester, Tennessee, originally from the St. Petersburg, Tampa area in Florida. And I'll try to make this as short as possible. But I came from the retail world where mandatory hours were from 8 to 9, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. every Saturday, every Sunday, every holiday, every weekend. I was at work. So what motivated me really to begin my journey in the detail world was I made a great living, but I was time broke. I had 3 young boys, never saw them. I missed the first days at the beach, the Major League Baseball games. As a matter of fact, a good friend of mine he's a firefighter down in St. Petersburg, and I consider him one of my best friends in life, took my son to his first ball game. And so, long story short, I think a lot of people in life just, they're afraid to take the step toward their dream. And I think one day they wake up and realize that they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're burnout. They're tired of being owned. And so I walked into my storefront one day and told my boss I was calling in well. And he said, well, what do you mean calling in well? I said, well, I ain't coming back. And with hardly any money in the bank, I went home, had no idea what my next move was going to be. My parents happened to call me just a day later and said they just wanted to touch base, see how things were going. They were on a road trip. And they said, yeah, we're at this little place called Cracker Barrel in Manchester, Tennessee. This is the neatest little town. You should come and check it out. So I did check it out. Told my wife I was going to go to Manchester. My parents were also considering moving here. They were looking at a property. So I came to Manchester, and it was just a small town of 10,000 people at the time. And the first day here, I was driving around and realized that there were a couple of little detail shops, nothing major going on. And so I came back 2 days later to Florida, and I told my wife, hey, how do you feel about starting over? And she looked at me kind of funny. And when I told her my vision of a detail shop in little podunk Manchester, Tennessee, just a little place where the cows go moo. And a few days later, I literally packed a 2001 Chevy Impala full of clothes, and off to Manchester I went. I left my wife and my boys back in St. Petersburg. And the morning after I arrived, I printed up some of the cheesiest flyers you've ever seen that simply said, Dr. Detail Mobile Detailing, showroom special, $89. I kid you not. After doing some research in my area, complete details were in the $75 range. Not many people here knew what a clay bar was. They were all on the old school rotary polishers. I knew I had a long road ahead. So nonetheless, I literally the next morning, the morning after I moved here, printed up these cheap black and white flyers. I went and parked my vehicle on what we refer to as the 4-lane, which is kind of the main artery through our town. And I just started walking into companies, introduced myself, shaking hands, and letting them know what I was doing, which is mobile detailing. Now, mind you, I was in an old truck that I literally just sat a Tupperware container that had my towels in it. I had a very small generator that just ran a little pump, and I had a water tank and a garden hose. and some tire shine, a sponge, and a bug block. That is how I started. That's all I could afford. And
who said you can't make money?
who said you can't make money? And so, there were days I would sit home at night and on the floor. We started out literally. When I say we started over, I mean we sold every piece of furniture we had. We literally came here with our cars, our love, a hope, and a dream. So, sorry guys.
Quite all right, man. Journeys are, they're special. They're special.
They're scary, but with perseverance, they're rewarding. So there were days, I look back now and laugh. As a matter of fact, just before we started recording this today, I came across my very first planner. And Joe, I have to share with you sometime. Just flip through the pages to see what I was doing. There were times it was so rough when I started out. I would literally drive to a town about 20 miles away called Deckard, Tennessee, and wash cars for $25, only to put that money back into my gas tank to get home. But I did it to get exposure. And, that is the key word in this business is exposure. You have to let people know what you're doing, why you're doing it. Share your vision, share your dream. A lot of people will respect that, and a lot of people will support you if you're an honest person. So let's fast forward. Let's see, I started as a mobile unit in 2007. I thought I was on fire and king of the world because the following year I had enough money to buy a 5x8 enclosed trailer. And I worked out of that up until 2012 and grew enough to where it was time for an actual storefront. So I found a little old abandoned gas station to rent out from some dear friends of mine who are still mechanics in this town at the same building, and worked out of that building for about 3 years, and then was blessed to come across a 6,000 square foot storefront facility that we acquired about 3 years ago. So we went from a truck to a truck and trailer to a very small 2-bay, probably about 1,000 square foot facility, now to a 6,000 square foot facility, 5-bay, with a 1,200 foot showroom. So all because I think of perseverance and not allowing anyone to tell us that it was not going to work. So now I've got 2 full-time employees. I have a window tender in the shop, and we offer not only detailing, but we're diamond dealers for WeatherTech. We do windshield rock chip repair, minor dent work. We're very versatile as far as offerings. So we've been very, very fortunate, but again, make no mistake, there was a lot of sacrifice involved, but we just stuck to the plan and just kept moving. If anybody out there listening has a dream, you can dream all you want, but until you move, it's not going to come true. So a dream requires action. It's that simple. If you're willing to take the appropriate steps, you can make it happen. There's room for everyone still to this day in this world. So that's awesome. My story. That's my story.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's amazing. Actually, it really is amazing. And you think about it, because what were you doing? We talk a lot about, people talk in the industry, detailing industry, or just in life in general. And just think and speak into the times. People are looking at what's successful, what's right, what's wrong, and success. What did you do to become a success in life here? Because it's not so much as what's that house look like, what's that car you drive, or all of that. you maintained your core values. You were working in accordance with your core values, and success found you because you steadfast and did what you thought was right and best for
That's
you and
right.
your family.
That's right.
Um, and my shop is not even as versatile as your shop, and I've been in business much longer, but I have a different setup. I have a different set of values on the way I did mine. Um, but it doesn't make any difference because, once again, this is my core values. This is my core values. I love it. Got a 20-foot
Yeah.
commute. My bad day for me commuting to work, I stepped in a puddle getting from one place to the other. That's my bad commute. So it's just, yes, follow your dreams if you have an idea. And this has been a dream of mine as well. Just this right here. Just get together. So technology, as fumbly as I am, we're doing it. I've got Kevin there to hold my hand and keep
Yeah.
us steadfast. And we're having a dream of wanting to help others.
That's right. And that's what we're going to do with this. We are going to help people find their way. I truly believe that. I think it's going to be a great thing for a lot of people.
It really is. And thinking about finding their way. Now there's a lot of talking. So we wanted to focus, just talk a little bit about interiors. This is who we are, and just a little bit. We're going to get into more interiors. There's a lot of talk with COVID-19, and I don't want to get real deep in that because it's really, for me personally, it's just way overdone. And and Nathan shares this with me. I could speak for Nathan because we talk about it a lot. I'll speak a little bit just about it. You could speak for yourself, but we're not going to be, making hand sanitizer and masks or telling you that you got to bring your car in. And because we both use steam, we both have hot water extraction, and we're going to clean your car and get the germs and bacteria, and you're going to die or anything. We're not going there. We're not going to go to the hype or the fear, because typically, really, since I've been in business for a good part of it, I've just told people, hey, pick up your car, clean it. The fabrics are going to last longer. They're not going to wear out from the sand and the grit, the vinyl. It's going to look nicer. It's the second most expensive thing, or for some people, the most expensive item they will ever buy in their entire life as a purchase. And so we're here to help you take care of it. So there's people that want to do it themselves. There's people that need to do it themselves out of necessity. There's some people that just like to do it themselves for enjoyment. And so for all of those people like you out there, we're here to help you and show you how to do it
That's right.
and use the right products, how to apply them, obtain the results you're looking for in a safe and effective manner, and also even time efficient, because, hey, you got to go out to dinner with your wife or your family, and you certainly don't want to be late because you were detailing the car. So we
That's
can
right.
get you the car looking good, maintain your time frame, and go do that. And then the people that don't want to do it, don't have the time, there's plenty of y'all. And I got that southern drawl from Tennessee there, from
Y'all. All
Connecticut.
right.
That I do spend a little time in
Yeah.
Tennessee,
That's
so it's
right.
been known. And you can come see us, and we'll be happy to do it professionally for you, and then forever you will shine. And so that we're going to get into that, but we're going to want you, the listeners, to go ahead and type in your questions. Tell us what you want to know. Tell us how we can better help you. How can we serve you from all of those different aspects I mentioned? Go ahead, Nathan. Tell them how you feel about it. Don't hold
Yeah, I
back.
mean that's where we're going. That's where we're going with this. It's going to help the everyday person. Also, I think we'll stress too is if it's something that you don't necessarily enjoy doing yourself, what to look for in a professional detailer. What type of equipment do they use? Are their chemicals pH neutral? Are they using safe chemicals, safe chemical ratios? A lot of people, I think, get confused that there's really not a lot to what we do, the equipment we use, the cleaners we use, when really, as we know, there is a lot to it to make sure it's done safely, efficiently, to ensure that we preserve every surface on the vehicle. So that's what I'm excited about sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What separates what's a professional, what's a non-professional. The other thing behind that too, you can have all the equipment, you can have all the certification and do all the right things. Then there's another separation. We're a people first organization and we care about you. What's important to you is important to us. And then how are you treated? You know, how is that consultation process? Do you have a consultation process? You know, and you know, when somebody comes to my shop, I clearly make sure they understand what they're buying, what they're purchasing, what the service is, what I can do, what I cannot do, because it's very important how I make my money, and I want to make it.
Yeah.
When I get paid for the results, I want to know that I made that money fair and square. We all need to
Yeah.
earn a living. We all need to earn a profit.
And to find out what their expectations are. That's exactly
Yeah,
right. It's very
yeah.
important.
So I care immensely to get that order right. That has always been a big thing. I want to get that order right and understand. You know, like things in the marketplace. You know, everybody, probably a lot of you listeners out there know paint correction, ceramic coatings. I have people come down now on a regular basis. Is it mainstream? And I can honestly tell you, I talk more people out of a paint correction and a ceramic coating than I actually perform. Why?
Right.
Because it doesn't apply to everyone.
That's right. It's not for every vehicle on the road. It's absolutely not. It's not. And I think too, you know, the coatings, while definitely are number one in level of protection, I think they're being marketed so much as being bulletproof. That's a whole nother show. We'll go into that at another time. But it is certainly, you're right. Good key point there. Ceramic coatings they are not for everyone. No question about it.
That's right. There's a responsibility on both sides of that equation when you start talking about ceramic coatings.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part is paint correction. How many times can you correct a paint? We are removing material, and
That's
why
right.
are we doing that? And is it necessary? And paint correction really is a term. So if we just want to clear it up and talk about transparency, well, paint correction, once upon a time, we used to call it compounding.
That's
Doesn't
right.
sound so sexy,
That's
does
right.
it?
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
so the garbage, you know, the people that come pick up the garbage every week in all the cities and towns, they today call them sanitary engineers. But
Mm-hmm.
once upon a time, they used to call them garbage men.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so
Yeah.
you kind of dress things up to make everybody feel better or sex it up to get money. But with people first, we want to cut through that. I don't want to play into the hype because realistically, Nathan, if we just take an intermediate polishing pad and an intermediate polishing compound, which is
Mm-hmm.
what most consumers want for price, the finish, the results, the whole package,
Right.
are we not paint correcting that car between 30 and maybe even up to 45% just by
Absolutely.
default of doing it properly and as a
Absolutely.
professional? So
Absolutely.
there it is. It's a play on words.
Yeah.
What do you like?
Absolutely.
What would you like to add to that? Anything you
There's
want to?
nothing. There's nothing to add.
Yeah,
That's
that's the
you just
truth.
summed it up. I mean, that's what it is.
That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many times, that's why we have the consultation process that many clients come down and they don't really exactly realize what they're asking. And because I realize this being in business this long, that I want to get the order right. You know, if somebody comes in and says, I want my car perfect, it's like, you sure? And then so I start talking about the different levels. And typically on a daily driver, depending on what that person's interest is and their budget, I stop at 70% because anything beyond that, one, it takes a crazy amount of time. It really gets out of most everybody's budgets. And then lastly, it just does not apply unless it's going to Barrett Jackson or something.
Here's the thing about, and that's another misconception about paint correction. a lot of detailers, I don't think, are specific in the fact that, or making the consumer realize, paint correction, can we get your car looking better than new? Yep, we can. But here's the question. What's that dark burgundy, navy blue, black car going to look like again in 6 months? So you want to spend all these hundreds of dollars to do a correction, that's fine. But understand that eventually, chances are, that car is going to look just like it does today before we start working on it. So again, are we shooting for maintenance, or are we shooting for absolute perfection? That there's a huge gap there that needs to be discussed.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, it's not. I spoke to two clients this week that wanted a correction. Once they really understood what it entailed, the price of the correction opposed to what it may very well end up looking like another year down the road, decided it was more important at this point to just maintain it instead of constantly correcting it. Because again, it does more damage than good in the long run at times, depending on the vehicle.
Yeah. And you can only remove so much material. But the other side, when we're just doing an intermediate polishing compound, we're really not removing any material.
No.
We're removing
No.
dirt out of the clear coat is
That's
what
right.
we're doing. You see those pads, we get those, you get a pad and it's clean, and we put, our product on, which many of them today, like some of the ones I use are white, and I put it on and you see the pads getting dirty. It's cleaning that dirt, that fine micro layer of dirt that's in the clear coat.
That's right.
And for most people that looks like new. A lot of times after I get done decontaminating the car, they say, "Wow, my car looks like new. Did you just wax it?" It's like, no, I decontamination watch, and that's even another segment we'll get into. So there's a lot of topics that we can get into. But when we're, polishing out a car, a lot of times, as Nathan, you lent to, that car is going to look like that. Realistically, most of the processes, that basic process of decontaminating the car, doing a polish job, there's two distinct types of polish jobs, or even decontamination with a hydro seal type of a wash that fit probably 85% of the general public that I see. And so that's where I put those jobs. And realistically, that car's going to look good for 3 years at least down the road, because it took 3, 5, and 7 years for that car to even show up at my shop from all of these different events building up on it. It's like it's just kind of like a building. It just builds this velocity, and then all of a sudden, my car, this odor. It's all these things that took place over the period of time that built up, or the contaminants that if you wash it like this and you do this, there's things that you will not be able to get out of the paint. There's a certain amount of degradation, dirt, tar, iron, which are the 3 most common items in there that'll accumulate. And then even maybe some of the habits where life took place and you couldn't wash it for a couple, 3 months. And then that car may or may not come back to you. So that's why we're looking at your habits. How do you care for the car? How do you think of the car? Where do you drive it? Where do you store it? And does that make sense? And so we're just being devil's advocate. We don't sell anything at my shop. We don't sell anything here.
That's right.
We just present to you what we have to offer after we've listened to what your concerns are and your interests and how you wish to use the car. And many people defer for something middle of the road.
That's right.
Or less.
Yeah. It's all about the options available.
And a true professional has all those options.
Mm-hmm.
We can perform from the bottom level, basic professional detail, all the way up to the Barrett Jackson show car shine. And anything that was complicated, a true professional with just a phone call away can call other professionals and line them up if they so desired.
That's right.
And that's who we are.
That's exactly right. That's what it's going to be all about.
So with that, in closing, this is all about, forever you will shine. It's all about you. How can we help you? The general public, What are your concerns? We want you to write in. Go to our websites. They'll all be tagged, I guess, in this post. We didn't really talk about this prior, but yeah, Kevin, whatever he can do, he'll put our email addresses in there for our business pages, Facebooks, or what have you. You can always type into these Zoom things and let us know what your concerns are. We want to know what you're thinking. How can we better help you? Because at the end of the day, forever, you will shine. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Joe.
Kevin. Be well to all, and to all a good day.